character from the Pretty Cure franchise is the most underrated cure? This is a question that we're going to try to find out today. If you've been on my channel for a while, you know that I have this pretty big obsession with Pretty Cure. It is one of my all-time favorite magical girl series, and let's just say there's definitely some characters in this series that, even though they're pretty great, pretty amazing characters, they feel just kind of underrated. So what does underrated mean? They're not really valued as much as more popular, cooler characters. So I wanted to dive into today my community's opinions when it comes to the most underrated cure. So let's talk about that. So obviously, I am not going to be able to get numbers from every single Precure fan in the world. There is a huge difference between Precure fans in the West and Precure fans in Japan. So just know that this video might not be completely accurate to like the whole scale of Precure fans, but this is numbers that I collected, data that I collected from my community on Precure. And so let me put this out there, of course, because I feel like every time I make a video about Precure, it has to come with a warning. Just because you might not agree or feel some way about a character doesn't mean that someone else isn't allowed to. So let's talk. I did an experiment where I asked you guys openly in my community section on YouTube here, who do you feel like is the most underrated cure? And I got a lot of responses. At the time that I'm recording this, there are 53 entries, and I did not collect all 53. I think I got up to 45, and I was like, hey guys, I am not going to respond to any more. I'm not going to add this data anymore, because if I keep responding to these comments and I keep adding to this list, this video would never come out. So just know that one, this isn't quite accurate because I did just have to put a stop on this because there were too many cures coming in, and two, there was a lot of cures that were just being repeated. So I tried to take all the data that I could by stopping it and put it into a sheet. So this is the Google sheet that I have that shows all of the cures that have been mentioned and how many times they were mentioned by my community. For the cures that were only mentioned once, we have Mermaid, Scarlet, Friendly, Milk, Diamond, Ange, Muse, Wing, Berry, Coral, Princess, Infinity, Beat, Star, Rhythm, Sparkle, Pine, Flora, March, and Chocolate. And for the cures that two separate people commented is Peach, Bloom, Bright/Egret. The majority of the comments that I saw mentioning these two always put them as a duo, so I'm putting them as a duo instead of separate cures. Melody, Whip, and Rouge. And lastly, for the pre-cures who had 3 different people submit their names is Wonderful, Papaya, and Honey. Now, I'm not gonna lie, when I first read over the names in this list, there are definitely some that I personally don't think are underrated whatsoever. Obviously, opinions are gonna infect the data, but that's okay. That's kind of what we're looking for. While I might not agree with some of the characters on this list, if someone says that they believe that this character is underrated, who am I to tell them that they are wrong? But overall, from my research doing this test with my followers, these are the 3 cures that I found in my community alone to be the most underrated. We have Cure Honey, Cure Papaya, and Cure Wonderful. I'm not gonna lie, I definitely always thought that Papaya was gonna be on this list. To me, Papaya is one of those characters who I genuinely feel like is so underrated. She is probably my top pick for most underrated cures. When Tropical Rouge came out, she was just kind of brushed aside. I mean, come on. I mean, we had some really great characters in the entirety of Tropical Rouge. Tropical Rouge was like a pretty good season. While it's not personally my favorite, it was really good, but I did see a lot of slack during that time for Papaya. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm really happy that someone put a character from Happiness Charge, because overall as a community, I think we can probably agree that Happiness Charge is one of the most underrated and least favorited seasons out of all of the 22 seasons as of right now. And again, I did see someone say that Cure Princess was their underrated cure, and if Cure Honey wasn't the one to be on this list, I would have also probably said Princess, because I feel like Happiness Charge just needed someone. They needed someone to be the most underrated, because I mean, come on. Come on. And last but not least on this list, we have Wonderful. I personally have seen a lot of people who are divided on Wonderful's character. I see people who really love Komugi because she's a dog, she's super happy and energetic, but I see a lot of people who don't like Komugi because she's a dog and she's super happy and energetic and genuinely can be a little bit of a nuisance sometimes. So now let's take a look at the poll. This poll again features the 3 most cures that I have got the most comments for being underrated. So the first one that everyone says is the least underrated out of this list of trios is Cure Wonderful with 22%. And in second place, we have Cure Papaya with 31%. And in first place with nearly 0.5% at 47 percentages is Cure Honey. Now, I'm going to take a look at some of the comments that I got under this poll. Sugar Star says, I've actually heard people dislike Cure Honey because all she does is sing Rice. Pure Interstellar says, Honey is such a sweet girl, I hate how no one recognizes her. Hoshizuki-san says, it's probably Cure Honey, I feel like she doesn't get much love when it comes to the yellow cures. And Neo Kilua says, Honey I think is the most underrated from this list, and her series people say is bland, with no persona, and only known for her song. Even among the comments, Honey is still the most talked about character as underrated in at least my portion of the Precure fandom. And I'm not gonna lie, I do kind of have to agree that if I had to place any cure on this list, it would have to be someone from Happiness Charge. It just resonates in my soul. When people ask underrated cures, usually my mind goes to Papaya, but after looking at this data, as a whole, I honestly would put a lot of the characters from Happiness Charge in underrated sections. And I'm not gonna lie, I really do agree with this. I didn't expect to agree with this as much as I thought I did when I was originally writing up the scripts and ideas for this video, but genuinely, when I think about the most underrated series of Precure, I think about Happiness Charge. Ever since I got into the Precure fandom, I have not heard a lot of people talk nicely about Happiness Charge. It has always been that one season that everyone is like, I mean, it's there. It's there. Like, it's there. I feel like Ange just kind of fits in with that category of blue characters in Precure, where they're like the student body council member, very smart, shy, a little bit attentive, a little bit more reserved, but like very kind. And I feel like she definitely fits in there, but Ange's character is so cool. Like, come on. And number 2 for me is Soleil, and honestly, I think I like Soleil civilian form more than as a Precure, because there's a whole episode showcasing how she feels as the character who has so many siblings. Being the oldest, feels like there's this constant pressure to look after her siblings, a constant pressure to take everything off of her parents and put it on her shoulders. I feel like Soleil is completely underrated. She goes through so much, not just as a Precure, but as a teenage girl. And I absolutely agree with Chocolate. Chocolate is one of the best characters in Precure. My opinion, but I think a lot of us can, agree with this opinion. Chocolate is such a great character. Chocolate is one of the first androgynous characters, and I genuinely think that they bring so much to the table for Precure. And while their character is mostly really loved in the community, I've seen this trend where it seems like characters who are green and red tend to get left out for the bright primary colors. So maybe that's just the color choice, but I love Chocolate and I want to see more Chocolate everywhere because I love Chocolate. And so this is my community's choice on who is the most underrated cure, which is Cure Honey. I do feel like a lot of the yellow cures are kind of placed in the series to give a sort of energetic, happiness, whimsical, cheerful type of vibes, and I feel like Honey fits that category. Amori is someone who is always singing and always cheering. They usually will chant things about rice or popcorn, cheer, coconut, samba. They're a very silly, quirky character, which, of course, that tends to be the trend with a couple of the yellow characters, but I feel like this one really embodies Honey. Honey is just kind of like seen as a almost comic relief character. But what do you guys think down below in the comments? Who do you think is your most underrated cure and why? And do you agree with Honey? Do you think that Honey is the most underrated cure? Yes or no? Let me know down below in the comments. And there are so many amazing comments that I just couldn't get to, so I'm sorry that I couldn't put every single comment into this video, but if I didn't stop, then this video would not have come out. I highly encourage you to go and read the comments under my poll video and under my open response videos, because I love the opinions and I wish that I could just feature every single one of them, because I honestly agree with so many of them, and you all have amazing and really good explanations of why you feel like a cure is so underrated. And of course, again, let me utter this. This is just from my community's data, and this is all just subjected opinions. Doesn't mean Cure Honey is absolutely 100% the most underrated cure ever, but this is what a large percentage of my fans think that Precure's most underrated character is. I would love to see like actual Toei released a character chart on who the complete, which obviously can't be complete because who's guaranteed that one, someone won't troll, and two, that every single Precure fan would answer it, but the complete chart showing who is the most favorited and who is the most underrated cure. I would love to see that. There are just so many characters in this series, so let me know who you think is the most underrated, your opinion this time. And if you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!